Well, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And this is the last show until September. And what a way to end it. We have our guest is Mike Welch, who is the CEO of Unibank. And if you're in the Valley, you know Unibank, because Unibank is the Valley.
In many ways. Thank you,
Yes.
Harry. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, it's great. I would ask you where are you from originally?
I'm a Worcester kid.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What part?
Born and bred. Up in North Worcester, up by what used to be Norton Company.
Oh, yeah.
Saint-Gobain.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right up
in
on-
the Greendale area.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with Worcester, quite familiar with Worcester.
Yeah. So I grew up there.
With Jim McGovern.
That's right. Yep. Yep. That's that district. Yeah. So I grew up there my whole life, and yeah, my mom was a nurse at Memorial Hospital up on Belmont Hill.
Oh, okay.
And my dad taught at the original boys' trade
Yeah.
in Worcester, and yeah, it was a great place to grow up. Loved it.
Both my sons were born in Memorial.
Okay. They might have had my mom. She was OBGYN, so
Yeah, she was. Yeah, well, she might have been a nurse. That
she
was.
might have been.
Yeah, this
She
is back in
delivered
the
a lot.
early '70s.
Oh, she was there.
I'll be
She was
darned.
there.
See.
Yeah.
And then I used to work for Ramsdell and Van Dyke Auto Parts on West Boylston Street,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and I used to sell parts to the automotive school down at the Boys Trade.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
When you were still down there in Lincoln Square.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's where my dad taught.
Used to go to shows at the at the Worcester Odd,
Oh, sure.
the old rock and roll shows. So I got a lot of familiarity with that part of Worcester.
Yeah, that was Holy Cross basketball back then too, I think.
Yes, it was. Yes, Holy Cross basketball played there.
They did a lot of
Yeah.
good things.
Bob Cousy played there.
Did Coos play there?
Yeah, he was there back in the '50s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're right. When he was at the Cross. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So I'm from Worcester, and then went to school at St. John's High School.
Oh,
which I
okay.
really, that was.
In Shrewsbury.
Yeah, it was in Shrewsbury at that time. It had
Yeah.
been on Temple Street. And then, yeah, so that's where my foundation was. Yeah, my great grandfather, actually, Tom King, came over from Ireland and settled in Slatersville.
Oh, Rhode Island.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's where my valley roots originally stem
oh,
from.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, he worked in one of the mills there in the late 1800s.
Yeah, one of the Slater mills.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
the birth of the revolution, the
Was-
Industrial
It
Revolution.
was right there. Yeah, so he was part of it. He
It's
came.
they've done a great job with those mills down there too.
They're spectacular. Yeah,
Yes.
gorgeous. Very well done.
Yeah, I mean, the valley, people are discovering it. A
Yes,
lot of
they
people
are.
for the first time are amazed what they find here.
Oh, it's spectacular.
And of course, your bank has been a huge supporter of the valley and
Thank
the
you.
development in the valley.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been. Yeah, I think for people at Unibank are phenomenally committed. You know, I look at members of the board who've been, I look at Tim Wickstrom as chairman of the board at
Yep.
Unibank, and he's fourth generation. You know,
Yes.
he takes great pride that his grandfather was the night watchman. So so the commitment, from the board level, from guys like Mike Kroll, who's an Uxbridge guy, or
Yep.
Mary Thompson, who lives in Northbridge, and Kate Salmon in Northbridge, Jake
Yep.
Hales, Uxbridge. So many people in the leadership and then at the bank are from here. Yeah, we employ about 150 of our employees live right here. Northbridge, Uxbridge, Linwood, they're right here,
Yes.
right here in the valley. So, what's great for us is, we're keeping the dollars here.
Yes, you are, and you're hiring a lot of young people.
We are. So what we're purposeful about, Harry, as we all see in banking, right? They've got the regionals, the super regionals, and then the bigs, as I call them, right? They're coming in, swooping in, and gobbling up the smaller banks, right?
Yes.
Well, when that happens, local control, local influence, local impact, dissipates, and goes to New York or Chicago.
You just pointed out exactly what happened in Worcester.
Yes. Yep.
You Worcester guy, you remember when You went down Main Street, there were
It
all
was all
kinds of
Worcester.
banks.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
all
And-
that's left is the name,
That's right.
the Mechanics Bank building. The Mechanics building, people don't know it was Mechanics Bank,
That's right.
because
Yeah.
it's long gone.
It's all gone. They've
Yeah.
all been
The
eaten up.
Guarantee building was Guarantee Bank, they're gone.
They're gone, yeah. So all those banks, so that's what, I think we're very excited about at Unibank is, we've stayed true to our roots here in the valley.
Yes,
And, keeping the economy going, I think in many ways, hiring people from here, and then we can talk later about our philanthropic dollars. But we've also stayed strategic where, and I think with some banks, right, you hear about the sleepy little banks. They're not gonna last,
no,
right?
no, they can't,
So,
they can't compete.
They can't compete. So I think what's unique about Unibank is we've stayed competitive and we've diversified our offerings so that we can continue to grow. We're over 2 billion now.
Yes.
In assets, which is incredible. But what that allows us to do is to stay strong enough so that, we don't need others to come in and take us over.
Right,
We're actually, we have an opportunity to acquire maybe some others, so to keep our headquarters right here in Whitensville. That's always at the forefront of our mind, staying
No,
here.
I told you earlier, I've been on the planning board on and off for 30 years. You did a great expansion in downtown,
Yes, thank you.
and actually you limited, those buildings needed to go down, they were not the best of shape. And it really dressed up the downtown
Yes.
area, and it really looks great.
It looks beautiful, yeah, to come down and, when I invite others down, into the valley
Yeah.
to our headquarters, they're amazed.
Yes,
One, just by the sheer size of Unibank, but then also that whole Main Street area, right? I think the town and the community has done a beautiful job to beautify the area, and to keep it fresh and to have a Main Street with, stores still open.
and it's diversified. Somebody said to me one time, well, geez, I remember the old days when we had a shoe store and we had jewelry store. Well, it's never gonna come back. It's
Yeah,
not gonna
that's-
come back to downtown Worcester.
Right.
How's
right,
it gonna come back here?
right.
The new norm is the Walmarts or the plazas like you got in Millbury.
Correct, yes.
But what we got specialty shops,
Mhm.
and they're doing well.
Yes, yeah, run by some great folks, right?
Yes,
Some-
and in fact, I think one of them, Lulu's, I guess it's expanding.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, so, I mean, it shows you, it works, but you're not gonna do it with the old styles, what we
No.
had 50
No.
years ago. You're not gonna see that anymore.
No, you've got to stay contemporary, and I'm a firm believer of, stay true to your roots, but, what does today look like?
Yes.
Right? And you've got to look like today as well to remain relevant, because, once you lose your relevance, you're out of business, and then your community is a loss. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Well, I've always said on the planning board, we need these types of shops, because we're pushing ourselves now as an historical site
Mhm.
because of the Industrial Revolution and how,
Right.
well, these shops actually enhance that. And if
Absolutely.
you go to historical areas, you go up to Salem, Mass. That's what you see, that's the types of shops you see.
Correct, yes.
And that's, people like that. People go to P-Town. My wife loves going shopping there because you got all those little specialty shops.
Correct, yeah, yeah, and I think, and I think that's the vibrancy, right, because it's all the components, the historical elements, that brings people in, and then as you mentioned, the shops, right, and then you have some, light industrial and industrial.
Yes.
You're covering a lot of bases there.
That's another good thing. We were fortunate we had a guy that bought the White Machine Works building who has been able to rent it out and keep
Yeah,
all
isn't that great?
these small incubator industries in there.
Yeah,
And some of them have grown, well, now we had a big guy come in, I guess,
yeah. It-
buying the arcade section.
Yeah, it's wonderful, because you go to some of the, the older industrial towns, you don't see that.
No,
Whitensville's been very blessed to have that, no question.
yes, even down here in Rockdale with the mill outlets.
Yes, yeah, no, it's a great area, and I think people, as we were talking earlier, people are more and more discovering the valley.
Yes.
You know, and I think as we've all lived through the year that we've lived through with the pandemic, you know, one of the elements, though, is the work from home. You know, so it allows some people
Oh, yeah.
to be working from home, you know, even in, Rockdale or, Linwood or,
Well, this is
Whitensville.
where we find housing has just gone crazy. I mean, it's almost impossible to find a house.
Yes, that is true.
And one of the reasons is that they're working from home and they're not worried about the commute into Boston.
Right.
Or even to Metro West.
Right. Yeah, you don't need to.
You're staying right at home now.
Yeah, no, it's a great place to be. And, yeah, my wife and I moved into Uxbridge 2 years ago now, and, yeah, it was hard finding a home. And
Yeah.
yeah, but we're glad to be here.
And what the other thing it's done is raised the values. So,
Yes, it has. Yeah, the market's very hot, yeah, and we've done, obviously we're in one component is the mortgage business. And,
Yes.
the number of, the mortgages that we've done for, in the valley. And that's what we love. When I talk to our team, we're really lucky at Unibank, because our job is, and as we talk about it, is to help people make their dreams come true.
yes.
Whether it's in their own home, their own family, or in their own business, people come, to access capital, and then, we get to help them make what their dreams are about, so. Yeah.
Well, one thing that's really made it successful is the interest rates are so low. And that makes a world of difference.
That's helpful to people. That's not always helpful when you're a bank, but.
No, I mean, the bank's not making out on it, but.
Yeah, it's great for people, no
You
question.
can make a difference of $300 or $400 a month on your mortgage.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
And-
oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure you remember the days when mortgages
Oh, when I
were
bought my first house, was 12%.
Yeah,
And I
right.
thought that was a bargain.
Right, yeah. And I remember when our first house, I think we were at 6.
Yeah.
And now they're half of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's.
but that's gonna be changing.
Yeah, I think the good news for most folks is we've probably got another year or so
Yeah.
of the low rates.
If you're locked in, you're all set.
If you're locked in, you're set.
But
yeah.
if you have to sell your house and move.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because, the values of homes are so high, right? But then the question is, okay, well, where do I go?
Yes, I mean, you still gotta have a place to live.
You need a place to live. But the rates are really good for people right now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so it's a great time to be buying a
I like to
house.
say, that's the other side of the coin. The rates are good, so the prices are higher.
Correct.
If the rates go higher, the prices will come down because there'll be no
Yes,
buyers.
That's right.
And that's the way the market system works.
That's the,
Yeah.
yeah, that is.
It's
the
pretty
mar-
simple.
Yeah, no, it is. But it's been, so the residential space has been, I think really good for the valley. And, as I drive around and see, businesses really starting to come in, you see that whole 146 area starting to develop.
Yes,
So things are starting to, I think, really accelerate for the valley. I
yes.
think Worcester's growth, location of Providence, location of Boston, I think we've got a lot of the elements that people really are desirous of. Right.
Well, I've always said that we're a perfect place for logistics,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we're getting.
Right.
But it makes sense because we have the highway system, we're centrally located, you can get to anywhere in New England quite easily, and you can get anywhere in the East Coast
Yes.
fairly quick, because we have the rails and we have the truck routes.
Yep. Yeah.
And in fact, I knew Paul Salucci, and I said to him, "You got to get that interchange down 146," and they put it in. And I said, "That's going to make a world difference when they added another
Right.
exit
Right.
on the Mass Pike."
That made a huge difference.
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah. There's a lot of those trucking companies along 146 have started to pop up, and it's
Yes.
all interconnected to that.
Yeah, we were locked out for a long time.
Yes.
They did that to Worcester, with 290.
Yes.
And you grew up in that area. You remember when 290 ended at Brinko Street.
I remember when it was being built, I remember, I'm showing my age now, when I was growing up in Worcester, I used to thumb to St. John's High School.
Ah,
So we'd put our book bag out and our thumb, and of course, then we'd get a ride. But I remember that Burncoat Street was the cutoff, right?
yeah,
At
there was a wall.
at that point, yeah. So, yeah, the area's it's come a long way, and I think what's also endearing, right, about the valley is, people know each other.
Yes,
I was at Koopman's, one of my early days, and getting a chainsaw fixed. And I was talking to the gentleman who was working there, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm from Uxbridge." I said, "Oh really?" I said, "How long you been here?" He goes, "My whole life." He goes, "I'm third generation, in Uxbridge." And
Randy.
yep, that's right.
Yeah, I go there all the time. Randy and Ronnie.
So and I mean, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Right? You don't often see that, in all facets of life. And it's good to see that, that fabric of a
Yes.
community for the multi-generations. So, even though I'm a Worcester kid, much of the feel of the valley is that feel that I grew up with, right? That people know one another and,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
You
like we're really one big solid community.
yeah, no, it is. And it's great.
In fact, well, I don't know as many people as I did before because we have so many new people that moved in
Right, right.
with all the housing developments, but God, I still run into a lot of people I've known all my life.
Yeah, no, it's been a great place, and for a community mutual bank, we're honored to be here, and I was just thinking about some of the PPP loans, this past
Yes.
year. We did, just getting ready for our conversation today, we did 700 loans here in the valley,
Wow.
which was about $72 million this year that we pushed into the economy just through that PPP program.
Yeah,
72 million.
If that money hadn't gone out, a lot of those businesses would end up closing,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
especially at the beginning of the pandemic,
right.
when you actually had to close your doors.
Yeah, right. So I think, I think much of the past year, I think, helped people rediscover the importance of local.
Yes.
Right? So, most of us aren't running, multi-million-dollar corporations, $100 million. That's
Right.
not our scale, right? That's not who we are
Right.
out here. So what I think the pandemic exposed was some of the smaller businesses that had engaged with some of the larger financial institutions. They couldn't connect with people to get the loans. So
Right.
more and more called us, right, because they know us,
Yes, and you know them.
and we know them. So that was an easy phone call. I had
Yeah.
people calling me on my cell phone, personal cell phone, right, because they know me.
Yep.
And that's, I think that's the importance. So as we look at, community mutual banks, it's important to keep that connectivity. I mean, everything's easy when the times are good, but when the times are challenging, we need to know one another,
Yes.
right? You can reach out to me, I can reach out to you, right? When we need to do something with American Legion Hall, right, they know, all right, we're gonna call Harry, something good's gonna happen.
Right, yeah, well, we had that situation here where, when the studio moved in here, the Region, this place needed a new roof,
Mm-hmm.
$25,000. Region didn't have any money.
Right,
When we moved in, we went to the bank with a contract. We got a contract, the Legion's got a contract for the next 10 years at $1,000 a month. We need 25,000 for, oh, no problem, no problem, you got the money coming in,
yeah, isn't that great?
yeah.
Yeah, that makes the difference.
If you
When-
went to a big institution, oh, no, we need even better proof than that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so that, I think that's what we're really proud of, that we've been able to continue to grow, as we merged, Uxbridge Savings Bank and Whitensville Savings Bank, but, given the way geography is today, I mean, that's really one area, right? So
Right.
it provided us the opportunity to really scale And with the philosophy of the bank, you know, it wasn't, well, let's jump and move headquarters elsewhere, right? And chase money, you know, where bigger money is. You know, it's always been that focus on the mission, on the valley, who we are. We're built to serve here. So what we've done is to reach out broader, but keeping everything here.
Yes.
That's been the key for us.
A lot of people don't realize, especially young people, Unibank started out as two separate banks.
Yes.
Waynesville Savings Bank.
Yep.
And Uxbridge Savings Bank. And the Waynesville Savings Bank was in the bank building, which
Yes.
is now Austin and Gas.
Right.
And next door was Blackstone Valley Bank, Blackstone
Correct.
Valley National Bank.
Yes.
And both were started by the Whitens.
Yes. Yep.
And they started the national one to handle their business that they were doing all over the country, all over the world. And then they started the Waynesville Bank, Waynesville Savings Bank, to give their employees a place to put their savings.
Correct. Yeah.
And they were both in the same building, but then what happened, Blackstone Valley National got sold to, I think, Bank of Boston at the time,
Okay.
which then got sold to Bank of America. And the first, they're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah, and then the bank building got sold. So Unibank, at the time, you had merged with Uxbridge, but you had to get out. So you built your own,
Yeah.
where you are now, but now you've since expanded that.
Yeah. It's been, you know, so I love history, and you know, to have Moses Taft, you know, was the founder of you
Yeah.
know, Uxbridge Savings Bank in
Yes.
1870, and then John Whiten in 1872 with the Whitensville Savings Bank. You know, and they built, right, to help the workers in the
Yes.
in the community. So, you know, when we merged the two banks and then expanded, I mean, that was just a great strategic move. It was, I remember talking to Tim Wickstrom, there was some talk when they were, because basically in a way we have a campus, you know, right there. And they were talking about building one of the buildings back where our present parking lot is. But, you know, Tim and a couple other folks on the board, their vision was, no, you know, keep Main Street more vibrant.
Yes.
Right, and expand along the street, you know, which I think just gives the town, you know, even that much more character. And then we kept one of our buildings right next door is where we run one of our subsidiaries, Sterling Associates, that does, so it's that smaller building.
Yeah, the government,
Yeah, so
banking.
it's that one's actually, it's, the Sterling Associates building does yacht, small boat, yacht, mobile home financing. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
that space. And then we moved the government banking into that bigger wing, the addition on
Okay.
there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so Sterling's now where the Carrick Agency used to be.
correct, yeah, yeah. So so that's a great product for us. You know, no one thinks that, you know, a bank in Whitensville would be doing, you know, boat and airplane and
Right.
mobile home financing, but
Well,
you know,
I
we've
remem-
got a national book of business
I
running.
remember
out
when
of
you
there.
got into the government loan, which is
Yeah,
a
that's
whole
been
different
great.
thing.
Yeah, that's been, that might be considered one of the most strategic decisions that the bank has made to get into the municipal
Yeah.
space.
Because that's a whole different type of banking.
Oh, yes, it is, yeah. And that's been very good for us, you know, because it's been able to help us bulk up.
Right.
And then loan more money out. So it's really been a great, you know, great business for us, and I think it's also been very helpful for the municipalities.
Yes.
Right now, we won't do, you know, the biggest, we do Worcester, but like Boston, some of the other big cities, you know, they're not all with us yet. So what we do is, you know, we serve a lot of the towns, as well as the mid-sized cities.
Yes.
You know, which is good, and then we're able to help people. You know, some of those towns, you know, don't have full-time financial, you know, strategists.
Right.
So we're able to assist them, so it's very much in our line. you
Yeah,
know.
for the small towns, it's very difficult. They
Yeah.
don't have the people on
They don't have the
payroll to figure all these
Right.
things out. And that type of banking is totally different.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of demands, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's gotten more complex, clearly, as, you know, as a town is gonna put up a new school, or they're
Yeah.
gonna do a, police or fire station, the dollars are real.
Yes.
No matter what size your town is, they're real dollars. So it's been exciting having that dimension of it.
Well, your return there is a lot lower too.
That's correct.
Yeah, you can't get the interest
That's
you can get from the regular people.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is.
Very competitive.
It is competitive. Yeah, and I think banking is competitive, and we've, to keep, what's important with size is it allows us to spread out the costs.
Yes.
The regulations in banking have, become more significant. Right, so with that.
Well, also, by being bigger, you can get more out of the Federal Reserve.
Correct, yes.
So
for
that's a plus
borrowings.
right there. So it
yeah.
makes it easier for you to come up with the collateral to lend that money out.
That's right. Yep, yeah. So then, so gives us, the government banking gives us the deposit so we can really reach out and lend. And then, some of the cost, you have to be big enough because of the cost of regulations and the cost with IT.
Yes.
Everybody's banking off of the mobile phone, right?
Oh, I know.
So we've, in the last, actually, in the last 18 months, we've made a significant multi-million-dollar investment into technology with the mobile app and online banking, so that we can, service people, more and more.
I mean, I use your website all the time. It's great. I mean, it's very easy to maneuver through.
Thanks, yeah.
And you just updated it not too long ago.
Yes, we did, yes, we did, yes, we
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been, and we never projected, the pandemic, none of us did, but we had just gone through this multi-million-dollar core conversion, which we completed the first week of March of 2020. And then the pandemic really exploded, literally the next weekend.
Yeah.
So most of our folks worked remote, and we were set up with the technology to work remote. And then for our customers, given the conversion that we had just gone through, most of our folks, particularly in the valley,
Mm-hmm.
most people were still very traditional, came into the branch, right?
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, people would go through the drive-through. But with the investment in technology, people could do it from home, right? And then what we did was we bulked up our call center, for folks who weren't used to dealing with the technology.
Yes.
They would call and they'd get a live person,
Yes.
right here from the valley.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've called the call center in the past, yeah. They're excellent.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
they
you.
really are. They do a very good job. You get an answer, some places you call and you don't get an answer from them. Or you
That's
talk
right.
to a computer.
That's right.
Oh, I hate that part.
We all do.
But I cursed at a lot of computers. But no, you really, and you manage to balance out, because a lot of people don't, I say, people don't go in the bank anymore.
Correct.
Because you either go through the drive-through or you're doing it online.
Correct.
I mean, you don't even get a paycheck anymore.
That's right. It goes right direct deposit.
Yeah, and that's almost 100% now.
Yeah, most of the employers require it, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've kept that blend, we kept all the branches open the whole time. Most people went to the drive-through, but then we, brought people back in. But we coupled it with the tech. But what we like at Unibank is, we just don't go to tech and then you can't talk to a human.
Yeah.
We've kept the investment of technology and people.
Yes.
Because I think as humans, that's how we're built.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk to a human, and just not talk to a computer.
How do you explain the computer your problem? Yeah. But another thing you get
But
is
my computer usually causes me problems.
right. What I like is you kept that branch open in Plymouth Corner too.
Yes, thank you.
It's easier for me to go there.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, and that, and I think that's, as you look at the evolution of banking, I was looking at some of the old pictures where people used to ride their horse, right? And
Yes.
strap them up to the hitching rail outside of the bank, you know, and much has changed. And, you know, now some banks are 100% online,
Oh, I know.
right? But that's, again, you know, as we look at mission, right, and how we want to run an organization, you know, we're built for the people. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to just.
Yeah,
go
how do you
take-
deal with an online bank? To me, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And they try to entice you to come in because they might give you a little more interest.
That's right. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, because they got their costs down to nothing,
Correct.
because they have no employees. They have a guy that comes in and checks the computer once in a while.
That's
But-
right.
But, you know, if you got a problem, if you run into a problem and you need some help, what do you do? You know,
Right.
what if your credit goes bad and you're really stuck?
Right.
You're not talking to a human that you can explain your problem,
Correct.
and they might take a chance on you.
That's, you know, it's funny you say that. I was out, when I got here almost 2 years ago, you know, I made a concerted effort to go out and visit with folks. And I remember talking with one person. I said, you know, why are you with Unibank? And they said, well, 25 years ago, Jeff Badgema, and they go, he's probably
I know
not even,
Jeff.
he's probably not even working there anymore. I said, no, Jeff is,
Yeah.
Jeff is still going strong. And they said, Jeff took a chance on me, and because he knew me. This gentleman I was talking to just came back from Vietnam. That's how long ago it was. And Jeff took a chance on me, and I'll never forget that. And that's why I've stayed with the bank. But it's to your point, you know, a computer's not going to take a chance on you.
No, they go by the numbers and numbers only.
That's right, right. It's you know, it's guys like Jeff Badgema that's, you know, that knows people
Yeah.
and knows what they can do, right?
I'm surprised he's not retired. He's gotta be up there.
I won't let him retire. Yeah, we've got just a lot of folks, you know, Jane Archibald is,
Yeah.
you know, she's been here a number of years. Jane would kill me if I told her how many years that she's been working here. Patty Buma, she's another local person.
Yeah.
She's going to be here 40 years. So
Ted DeMeo still working?
Ted's still with us.
See?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've got a lot of folks, and what I love about that, right? Because institutions that have remained strong are made up what I call the giants.
Yeah.
You know, and for me coming in, I stand on the shoulders of those giants. You know, I'm not the giant, even though the title would say I am. It's those loyalists, you know, that have stayed. You know, it's like you. You know,
Right.
you've been in the community your whole life. You know, so for those of us who are new, you know, it's the recognition. It's not us. It's the others who have been here.
I have a leadership position here because I've been head of NCTV for a long time now. But it's not successful because of me. It's successful because of the guys that work with me.
Sure.
I don't say under me, they work with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what makes it, you've got good people, it makes the guy at
Absolutely.
the top successful, is the good people
Oh,
who's out
absolutely.
working with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those folks that, you know, work in the back office or, you know, in other areas, you know, who've stayed.
Yes.
You know, through ups and downs,
Yep,
but have been loyal to the institution, have been loyal to the community. Those are the ones that really,
yeah,
really
because
build the place.
you can't run the bank.
No,
It's impossible.
no, it takes a team.
It takes a team, yes.
Yeah.
And if they screw up, yeah, you get the blame, but. but-
Luckily enough, they don't too often.
But they don't screw up, then you
Yeah.
give them the credit.
Hopefully we do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been,
So, what did you do before you came here?
I was in, so after I left, I went to St. John's, as I mentioned, and I went out to Marquette University out in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
And I learned, you know, came to know the Jesuits out there. And then I went out to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, actually, in South Dakota.
oh, okay.
And volunteered out there. It's the poorest county in the United States. So I volunteered for a
I don't
number
know
of
if you knew
years there.
Dr. Baker from town.
No.
He passed away a couple of years ago, John Baker. He actually worked for the State Department as a physician.
Okay.
When he retired, he moved back to town with his wife. He used to go out to Indian reservations
Oh, really?
in the summer. to bring medical assistance.
Sure, yeah, yeah, I'll
And
have
that
to
was
look
one of
him
the
up.
ones I believe he went to.
Yeah, it's it's a challenging place. 85% unemployment. It's a different world. You know, so I was volunteered out there for a number of years, and I came back and my background is I'm an educator. So
Oh, okay.
I went on to from 2001 to 2016. I was headmaster at St. John's High School in
Oh,
Shrewsbury. So I was lucky enough to go back to my alma mater
Yeah.
and lead that institution. So, yeah, so it was great. I loved it. So I, met a lot of people and,
yeah.
there's a lot of St. John's alums, in Central Mass, down in the valley now that are moving down here. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
my good friend Peter Plute.
Oh, sure.
He
Yeah.
did radio show on WCRN.
Sure. Peter was class of '74 from St. John's. Yeah, and a big Blute family. He had, I think.
Oh, my,
He had,
yeah. what
he
a
had
youth.
four brothers, I think, that
Yeah,
went through.
I think they're
four
12
other
in all, or
brothers.
something like that.
Yeah, and the whole family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great family. So that's I think so that was part of, as I was after I left St. John's, my wife and I went back to teach on the reservation from 2016 to 2019. So as we were moving back. My wife's family's from Orange, Mass. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
we're all mill people at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
I'm familiar with Orange. I used to work up in that area.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we were coming back, and then, for me, whether it's education or it's other areas, hopefully I've lived my life in service to others, and what can I do to help? So the last stint on the reservation, I learned, if people don't have access to capital, there was no bank on the reservation. 35,000 people lived there, 5,000 square miles of space, no bank. I mean, that's a way to keep people poor.
Yeah, and
So-
it's almost like a separate country.
It is, yeah, in many ways. So when I was coming back, and then I started talking with some of the people at Unibank, it was that awakening for me of how financial services can give people access to capital so that they can grow up and out of poverty.
Yes.
And then up to the, kind of the next strata, if that's where they choose to go. So, and when I was talking with the board about coming, I said, well, if it's all about, making money for shareholders, stockholders, that's not who I am as a person. And they said, well, there's no shareholders at Unibank. So the more money we make, the more we get to give back to the community.
Yep.
So that's been awesome. So last year we were, 1.7 million we gave in charitable giving, which is outstanding.
It is.
Nobody's doing that.
No, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's because, and a lot of that has stayed right in the valley, which
Right,
has
well, if
been
you got a
great.
bank that's headquartered out of New York City or San Francisco or whatever, that money's going there.
Absolutely.
And then
Yes,
it's,
it
then
is.
it's divvied up in dividends.
That's correct, right.
But, on the Indian reservation, that's one thing, it's always been a core on my side. What we did, we tell the Indians, okay, we're gonna put you on a reservation,
Right,
so we can give the land to our settlers we're gonna bring out here.
correct, yeah.
But we'll take care of you. We'll give you food and blankets, and it was a big welfare scheme.
Yeah,
And that's the worst thing, we're doing that in our inner cities. That's the worst thing you do. Your best bet is to give them a chance to build their own.
yeah, it's been, it's a challenging space even today, but as I've seen, because we first went there in 1982 as a volunteer, and now to go back, in 2019, folks are starting to really take their own place, and have that self-confidence, right? A lot of it's
Right.
about self-confidence and that,
Yep.
I can and I have to, and to figure that out in today's society. So, yeah, things are starting to evolve, which is great.
Yeah, because it's human nature. If you give people a chance to be entrepreneurs, they'll do it,
Oh, sure.
and they'll succeed at it.
Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer of that.
But if you keep handing them things, they'll just sit, it's like your own family. If you keep handing your kids things, they're never gonna go out and work on their own.
Yeah. People have been, I think people are creative when given an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, I just,
An opportunity, and you have to have a need to do it. You give them the need, they'll get the desire.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was a challenging place and still is.
Yeah.
But a lot of, you know, I was able to reflect this last time about, you know, how do you give people those opportunities? And I think it's, you know, we learned this again during the pandemic, you know, these small businesses, if you know somebody local,
Yes.
you know, you can get the help. And, you know, I think that's where, you know, the community banks that are big enough are going to survive and thrive.
I gotta say, that was quite a concept on the Unibank's committee to bring you in, totally innocent of the banking industry. Usually, the CEO of a bank grew up in the banking industry.
Yes, right.
And you're coming completely outside of it.
Completely. Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea because you came with ideas. You ran a faculty,
Yes, yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
you know how to manage people.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so that was a different concept.
Yeah, it was
And
a very
obviously it's paid off.
Well,
Oh,
Hopefully.
Unibank's doing pretty darn good.
Thank you. Hopefully it's going to be fine. You know, and I think, you know, and I think that was part of the board's vision.
Yeah.
That, you know, we had people at the bank like Chris Foley, who's been there for 20 years.
Mhm.
You know, he loves the Valley. You know, he's the true banker, right? And Justine Denosha, who runs the government banking space, you know, she's phenomenal, right? So we had a lot of, you know, brilliant bankers, but I think as the board was looking, how do we continue to grow, you know, and I think that's where, you know, they looked at me and my experience of running St. John's, that, you know, being a private school, you make or break it on your own,
Oh, yeah,
because there's no government money coming.
right.
You've got to make it. So, you know, given, you know, my leadership of that, right, and be able to bring in support, bring in tuition revenue, bring in, you know, gifts from the alumni, that, you know, I think Tim and others looked to me to go out. And then when I was running the schools, one of my mantras is that money follows mission. And when mission follows money, that's when there's trouble.
Ah.
So, you know, the board wanted to recommit itself to its mission as a mutual bank. So I think when organizations commit to their missions and truly live it, the money follows.
Ah,
And that's what we're discovering at Unibank. And I think that's, because as businesses like in the Valley and up in Worcester, you know, people have to bank somewhere, and they
Yes.
have to do transactions, and you have to do that well. Everybody has to do that well. But I think in our own personal lives, we want to gravitate to organizations that are doing something meaningful, you know, in society and
Right.
helping others. So with our renewed commitment to mission, what we're finding is people are gravitating towards us because they see we're not in this just for us. We're in this to give to the community. So they know as they do business with us, we're taking some of that money and giving it away to others. So I think, you know, for a lot of people our age, that resonates. And then for the younger generation, you know, they're looking for that more, you know, that social consciousness. So a lot of them now are starting to gravitate to us as well, because they recognize, hey, we've got to do banking, yet, wait a minute, this is an organization that's, you know, helping the Whiten Community Center.
right.
You know, helping the youth center in Rochdale, right? So they recognize, wait a minute, these guys are helping all these people. I'm going to bank with them.
You help all the schools.
Oh, we do help the school,
Yeah.
which is great. You know, we were part of the, you know, in Whitensville, part of the new Northbridge football program there,
Yes.
with a new field.
The new field, yeah.
Yeah, so we help a lot of schools, and we love it. We've done a lot of scoreboards at all the fields, which is great.
We have the Little League field here.
Sure.
You donated to that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what, I think, as you mentioned, I'm a non-banker, but that's my mission,
Right.
right? So when I can get up every day and say, all right, the more money that, Unibank makes, the more we get to give away to the community, I'm gonna work 14 hours a day for that every day.
Well, I see what they're looking at, and that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of companies look to this now. Bring someone in from the outside, because they're gonna look at it from a different
From a
perspective.
disruptor, right, yeah,
If you grew up in it, you're gonna be in that rut.
right.
Not because you wanna be, it's just the way, what happens.
Right,
That's what you know.
yes, right.
And you're not looking at different angles. You have to come in and learn what's going on, so you're
Yes.
looking at everything.
Yeah, and this is one of the greatest honors of my life, to be able to come and work and lead Unibank. But it works because, we have those strong people like, Jeff Badgemer and others.
Right.
Who are so skilled in those areas. So
Yes.
then they provide me the opportunity for the creative thinking, right? And I think one of the strengths of the bank is it hasn't been that sleepy little mutual, right? They came up with the concept of Sterling Associates for that boat
Right.
division. We developed a software, Unipay, 20 years ago, way ahead of the curve, on doing, electronic, banking for the municipalities.
Yep.
No one had thought of that, except the bank in Whitensville, Mass. Thought of it. So, what will be our next area for growth and the differentiation, right? The people here allow me that creativity so that we can, right? Because if you're not growing, you're going backwards, so.
Oh, I mean, banking has changed so much.
Yeah, it has.
And today, you used to have your cash on hand. Today, how much cash do you have on
Yeah,
hand?
not much. Everybody's using the debit cards.
Yeah, debit cards,
Yeah.
your paycheck is deposited automatically. If you get a retirement, it's automatic.
Yeah,
All you see is the numbers.
yeah. So it's been, so I think for me coming in as the non-banker, in many ways, I'm the person from here. I
Right.
grew up in Worcester. I led St. John's, which was a local town, or, school right in the local area. And then to come here in the valley, I mean, given my historical roots in Slatersville, this is a
Yeah.
natural, right? And then for me, my commitment really is to making the community a better place. I say, I used education as my sandbox to do good. Now I use financial services as my sandbox to do good, and that's kind of how I look at it.
And that's what makes this valley strong, is individuals like yourself who contribute to it every
Thank
day.
you. Yeah, no, I love it. I love the ride from, I'm down in Uxbridge, so, my world is, I drive up through the center of Uxbridge and, drive into Whitensville, and, yeah, I love it.
And all these businesses you go by are all customers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'll frequent for a cup of coffee or a donut, probably more than I should.
No, you've grown to be a very large bank,
Yes, yeah, thanks.
if you look at your assets.
Yes,
But yet you're still that community feeling, that
Thank you.
real hometown banking, which
Thank
you talk about, you advertise that.
yeah,
But it's true.
thank you, yeah,
You are a hometown bank. I mean,
Thanks.
all your employees are local
Yeah.
and,
yeah. And the giving's local.
yeah,
So, yeah, and I think that's, and then, all the vendors, right, that, like the landscapers or the electricians
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the plumbers,
Yeah,
they're all local folks.
You're hiring all local people doing your work,
Yeah, so, to be
all your
honest,
services.
yeah, I mean, Harry, I hadn't thought about it that way. I mean, that's an interesting way to look at it, It's not just our impact on, the 52% of our employees that live right here, and those paychecks, it's all, and then our philanthropic giving, it's also all those ancillary vendors,
Right.
right, that we, really support. The economic impact of Unibank to the valley is
Well,
outstanding.
I've always, I run this place. I'm working with Lee Gaudette on insurances.
Oh, sure, yep.
I worked, when we remodeled in here, I hired Dennis Latour.
Mm-hmm.
I hired local plumbers, I hire local electricians. I try to keep the money within the valley.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
And I tell my guys, look we work here on a grant, we get a grant every year from Charter.
Okay,
In fact, I like to say I doubled that since I've been on negotiations or a contract
That's
every
great.
10 years.
good for you.
And we get about 200 grand a year now.
Wow,
But it costs a lot to run this.
sure it does.
But to hear, I said, where'd they try to get that money? It came from their subscribers in this
Correct.
town.
That's right.
Because that's what we base it on. We get a percentage of their profits. That's what I negotiated with them. I get 3% of their gross
Okay, that's great.
from Northbridge.
Yep,
So, they sell Northbridge, internet service, telephone,
right.
and cable. Yeah, and now a cell phone, but I don't know if we're gonna get part of that. I think they're keeping that separate. But,
Knowing you, you'll get a piece of that.
well, we start negotiations next year on the next 10-year contract. Will be my last. I'm 73 years old. I don't think I'll be around when I'm in my 80s. Or at least I won't be negotiating.
Well, you might be.
Yeah, I might be negotiating with you again. They won't let me off the board. But anyway, yeah, it's the people here contributed that money, so let's keep it here for them.
Right, yeah, and I think that's how, communities like ours, really thrive. As you look at the history, right, of the communities, the money really stayed
Yes.
here.
And that's what makes a community successful.
That is what makes a community successful. You need, wherever the headquarters are, those are the people that are really gonna benefit most.
Yeah.
Right? So as the Whitens were here and the Tafts were here
Yeah.
and, other leaders of the community, they lived here, right?
Right.
And they had their headquarters here, and then headquarters moved elsewhere, right? And we saw what happened there.
Well, the Taft family moved out to Ohio.
You're right, right. So, things change, right, once the
Yeah.
headquarters leaves.
Right.
But, as people keep money here and keep the turn here, right, then it just exponentially, benefits everybody.
Right.
And.
I mean, the Whitens moved out, Tafts moved out, but we kept the money here with others.
Yes, right, yeah, no, and that.
A lot of people don't realize that the Taft, William Howard Taft was direct relation, former president,
Mhm.
was a direct relation to the Taft family here in Mendon.
Okay, yeah.
We have a lot of history. We
There's
have
a lot of
in
history.
this.
Yeah, no, it's been great, and it's great to be part of the history of it, right?
Yeah.
And, we just gave another gift to one of the organizations in the valley, kind of preserving some of the historical elements, because that's important, as we were talking
Well,
earlier.
I'm big on history,
No,
especially in the
yeah.
valley.
Yeah, 'cause-
And I think that's our feature we have to put out to the tourist industry, and we can get people in here for it. I gave a tour through the corridor. Bonnie over there, I don't know if you know Bonnie, works at the corridor.
Oh, sure, yes,
Yeah, she
yes, I'm
asked me
sorry.
if I would do a tour a couple of years ago. We didn't do one last year because of COVID.
Right, right.
So it was in 2019. And I gave a tour of the Whitensville Historic District that we just put together. And I had about a half a dozen people show up, and they were all from out of town. I had a couple came from Boston.
Great,
I had some people came in from north of Worcester. And
Perfect.
they had heard about it, and they just like history tours.
oh, sure, yeah. They
And-
gotta buy gas when they're here and get a sandwich, too.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right? So that,
And I said, you could expand on that.
I think so. I think that there's opportunity with all of the history, the integration of that, the setting is beautiful. I mean,
Well, it hasn't changed much since the Whitens ran it.
Yeah, no, it hasn't.
So we really got established history here, which we really you really got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think so, and we've done, actually, we've done a lot with our new training. You mentioned we have a number of young people working
Yeah.
at the bank now, which we do. So we've actually gone back, and resurrected some of our history, kind of the fabric of who we are, right? Because we don't want them, right, to lose that. We want them to
Right.
know that, right? Because that's our drive.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we're regular folks. I always used to say as a kid from Worcester, you got to have a little dirt underneath your fingernails, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it just makes you work harder, right? And keeps you humble as well. So that history is important. So we would have celebrated our 150th last year, but with COVID, we put the celebrations off. So, and we knew this year was we weren't sure where it was going to be with COVID. So we'll actually be celebrating our 150th plus 2, we're going to say, next summer. And I know Whitensville will be doing some celebration for their 250th.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. You could connect them together.
Sure.
That'd be
So,
great, because it'll be the 250th anniversary
For
of
the
the
town.
incorporation of Northbridge,
Correct.
which actually got incorporated under the king.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, don't forget, we weren't a country until 1780-something. I get lost on dates.
76, yeah. Mhm.
Well, that's when we declared our
Yep.
independence, but we actually didn't form a country until the Articles of Confederation, which was in 1781 or something, after the Revolutionary War. But anyway, it was voted on by a legislature, but it was, granted under the king.
Okay.
I don't know if you know how it came about.
No.
We had a colony here, a settlement, at Northbridge Center, right in the center of town, where the water tank is.
Yes.
And they had to travel to Uxbridge to go to church, because all these settlements were based around a church
Sure, right.
in those early days.
Yep.
That's what they called a meeting house.
Yep.
Well, they had to go to Uxbridge for their services on Sunday, and they would cross the bridge over the Mumford to go to Uxbridge. And they got to a point, they said, wait a minute, this is a pain in the, back in 1770s,
Yeah.
it wasn't very good to travel.
That wasn't a 10-minute ride.
No, and the winter was even worse.
Right.
Let's incorporate it. We have enough people now, we'll incorporate our own. And they did, and they've called it Northbridge because it was north of the bridge,
Oh,
the Mumford
Okay.
Bridge.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
pretty good, huh?
It's
North
great.
of Uxbridge.
North of Uxbridge. Yeah, it's just, it's a wonderful community.
It is.
It really is a great
And of
community.
course, thanks to the Whitens, we grew into the biggest in the valley. We were the shopping center of the valley,
Okay,
back when the White Machine Works was in full steam, back in the 50s. We
okay.
had tons of stores downtown, had a couple of supermarkets, and
Yeah, the town's done well,
but
the
we basically, and I gotta give credit to the selectmen and the finance committee, we do have the lowest tax rate in the valley.
It's good.
And I tell people, and we still got the lowest tax rate, and we're building a new school and a fire station. And I wanna thank you for coming in, Mike, we
It's
gotta
a-
go, because I'm getting signals here.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I have to have you come back.
Thank you. I'd
All
love to
right.
be back.
All right, and we'll be back in September, the first Thursday after Labor Day.